Why I don't cook my food for 20 years. What are the benefits over raw foods compared to cooked food diets? And why cooking your food may be causing your diseases and reducing your lifespan. I'm really happy to announce that 3 of my 10 books are now published in English, available on Kindle and print on demand on Amazon. My main book, The Eden's Diet, The Guide to Raw Frugivorous, the original diet. This is the most updated and comprehensive science book about diets. What we have in terms of raw foods, every detail that you need to understand to thrive in a raw food diet, to have more longevity and better health. In my humble opinion, what everybody in the world should understand. The Hygienic Fasting Nature Surgery, my most sold book in Portuguese. I'm pretty sure this is the best book on fasting in the world, the most updated in terms of science and in terms of natural hygiene practice. All the books have numerical bibliographical references. So it's not what I'm saying, but actually I can prove it. I quote by numerical references, the scientific articles, the name of the scientist, the name of the journal, the scientific journal, the page, the year, and Natural Delicacies, Cooking Without a Stove, one of my recipe books with a lot of delicious raw vegan recipes like pancakes, cheese, dulce de leche, crepe, cakes, and a lot of delicious recipes without sugar, without oil, without salt, without anything that would damage your health. You want to learn more, get better in a raw vegan diet, get better in a natural hygiene lifestyle, be more productive, longevous, and healthy, you must read them. Yes, for almost 20 years now, I haven't cooked my food whatsoever. I was sick, obese, diabetic, about to do 2 surgeries. I was in really bad shape. And I realized that animals in nature don't cook their foods. Yes, Eduardo, but we are not animals. Yes, I know. But it was the only plausible rationale I had back then to understand why I shouldn't cook. Nowadays, I can give you a lot of scientific reasons. There are proofs that you should be eating a lot more raw foods, or even a completely raw food diet. First, we have to begin on why do we cook our foods? Society, cultural questions, the taste, the food becomes more mushy, more easy to chew. There's a lot of reasons, right? But at what cost? If it costs your health, is it worth it? It's like smoking. A lot of smokers say that smoking is what makes them happy. But still, at the same time, it's causing them lung cancer, erectile dysfunction, and a lot of wrinkles, aging faster. It's like, does it actually does them good, or just they think they make them good because of the feeling they feel after smoking a cigarette? And it's like booze, alcohol, right? It's quite famous nowadays that alcohol causes cancer and increases the risk of obesity, heart disease, diabetes, and a lot of other health issues. But there's people still drinking, So at what cost are you eating your cooked food? First, we have to talk about cooking food. What are the downsides of cooking your food? First is nutrient loss. In average, any cooking, even the most mild forms of cooking, will cause around 30% loss of nutrients, of micronutrients. That means you lose vitamin C, you lose a lot of vitamin C, vitamin A, phytonutrients, minerals like potassium, sodium, calcium, selenium, etc., right? You lose around 30%. Imagine taking what it counts the most on the food, because people think the food is mostly calories and micronutrients. No, for me, I want to have less calories, less macronutrients, and more micronutrients. The life within the food is derived from the micronutrients itself. It's what makes our bodies function. Although you don't see it because they're so tiny, still, They are the most important aspect of the food itself. We have to understand that cooking causes loss of nutrients, and also cooking causes alteration, damage to the macronutrients, to the big nutrients, right? To carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. It causes destrinization of the carbohydrates. It causes protein denaturation. It causes rancidification of the fats and causes changes in the carbohydrates like destrinization and others. Protein denaturation in the dictionary, it means loss of its biological activity. So a lot of the effects of the protein is lost. And also, cooking also damages enzymes. Yes, plant enzymes can be questionable, etc. But nowadays, we know a lot about importance of enzymes. For example, there is myrosinase in broccoli, there is allinase in garlic. That is, when you cook a broccoli, you end up damaging an enzyme that transforms glucosinolates into isothiocyanates, into sulforaphane, for example. So the less you cook the broccoli, the more you eat it raw, the better for its anti-cancer, anti-diseases properties, right? Because this sulforaphane is not just anti-cancer, it causes a lot of prevention from other diseases. And for sure, we still don't know what cooking causes to the microbiota of the food, because we know by science that there's more than 1 million microorganisms living in an apple. So when we cook the apple, these microorganisms is so tiny, so sensitive. Don't you think it damaged them? And they would be making a really good hole in our gut to prevent disease and to cause a better colonization? Yeah, we still don't know. I never read any scientific paper on it because scientists don't study that, but for sure, I think it matters. And also, when you cook your food, you throw away the most important nutrient on the planet, water. Oh yeah, Eduardo, but I can drink water. Yes, but it's H3O. It's probably quite different than the water you can drink. The water from the plants is the water we were meant to drink. So I'm pretty sure we will still have data on the importance of eating our water within our foods instead of drinking our polluted water from this modern world and filters. And for sure, there's other downsides to cooking. Usually most people, when they cook, they use Teflon and aluminum pans. So if you use a usual pot with heavy metals that can be leached from the pot to the food itself, you have an issue, right? Because these heavy metals are correlated with neurological diseases, with teratogenic diseases, that means congenital defects, birth defects. They are correlated with diabetes, they're correlated with a lot of stuff. So it's really important that you avoid the usual plastic pots and pans and the usual pots and pans made of these heavy metals that can leach from the pans, from the cooking utensils itself. But there's other issue. Now, the last but not least, it is what we cook. Because usually we don't cook bananas. We don't cook lettuce, tomatoes. We usually eat them raw because they are natural to us. They are already seasoned by nature for us. For example, you don't need to add sugar to a banana. It's sweet by itself. You don't need to add salt to a organic homegrown tomato because they are salty already. So the foods that we are biologically adapted to, we don't need to cook. But the foods we are not biologically adapted, we need to cook because we cannot eat them and we cannot like them in their raw states. For example, who likes potatoes raw? Who likes potatoes cooked without seasoning? It's hard to like the foods that we are not adapted to because raw potatoes would be so tough and wouldn't be, you cannot even chew it. You cannot taste it because it's complex carbs. We don't have the capacity in the tip of our tongues to feel that taste. So potatoes, raw rice, beans, grains, legumes, and even meat itself. If you eat it raw, directly from the plant or directly from the animal, a fresh killed animal, it's not going to be tasty. Come on. Who drinks or just raw milk without anything? Who eats raw eggs? It's not the most tasty thing for sure, right? But for sure, you can do it, you can do it. I'm not saying you can't, but still, it isn't pleasurable. So when we cook these foods that we are not biologically adapted to them, we end up causing less nutrition, and less nutrition ends up with less health. So let's talk about the main benefits of going to a raw food diet. I think one is feeling amazing. I have been feeling better than ever, better than in my 22 first years of life, and I'm almost reaching 42. I'm almost 20 years eating raw, and I never felt as good in any time of my life. Eating a raw food diet makes you feel a lot better, and that makes you motivated for continuing it. So the mood enhancement is quite impressive. So saving of time, eating raw, it means for sure you can uncook food, you can prepare food, but still the preparation of the food is usually way faster, and most of the days I almost don't prepare food. I just take a lot of the fruits and vegetables out of the fridge, and when it's lunchtime or when it's dinner time, I just eat a lot of fruits, and for dinner maybe I will prepare a salad, but even then it's like 10 minutes, 5 minutes to prepare a salad. It doesn't take too long. So it saves a lot of time, and that means you can work, you can exercise, you can focus on other things instead of being a lot of time in front of the oven, in front of the stove, and also cleaning the pots and pans after you cook it. But for sure, everybody already had that feeling that that you take like 2 hours to prepare the food and you eat it in like 15 minutes, right? So that's an important question that I think raw foods are beneficial. The third reason I eat raw is for sure saving of money. It makes dieting a lot less expensive because I spend a lot less on food, because fruits and vegetables are usually the most cheap food items in the stores, but also because I saved 20 years of medical doctors, of health insurances, of supplements, of pills and potions and treatments and blah, blah, blah. So for 20 years being healthy, it means that I saved a lot of money. And for sure, that is a really good thing about the raw food diet. Another thing is that we increase variety. Usually when I eat cooked foods, I was eating rice, beans, potatoes, meat, bread, and a few other items, right? But with a raw food diet, I eat hundreds of varieties of fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, legumes every year. So it's like a no-brainer. The more variety, according to the American Gut Project, the most comprehensive research on gut microbiota in the world, it suggests that if you eat more than 30 plant varieties each week, you have a better microbiota profile, you are healthier, independent if you are a vegan or if you are omnivore. So eating variety counts for your health. It means you're increasing the micronutrient variety, the phytonutrient variety, the microbiome variety. So it's pretty important for you to eat variety. And for sure, last but not least, the avoidance of maillard reaction end products. I didn't talk on yet, but it's one of the most important aspects of not cooking your food, because there's no debate on science that these maillard reaction end products are damaging our health, are toxic. But still, although we know that in science, these scientists just don't care, the people don't care, and everybody just don't hear about that much, although they are really, really important. These maillard reaction end products are the cooked food toxins, we can call it that way. Because when you cook your food, these substances are formed in the food itself. For example, if you cook a potato, it can get up for 400 substances that show up in the potato that weren't there. So it's true, it's real, it's scientific. And the maillard reaction end products are mutagenic, carcinogenic, teratogenic, clastogenic, pro-inflammatory, gerontotoxic, genotoxic, cytotoxic. They are toxic to the cell, to the DNA, it causes mutations, cancer, they cause aging, they cause inflammation in our bodies, they cause breaking of chromosomes, they are neurotoxic, they are reprotoxic, they are toxins for neurological system, for immune system, for reproductive system, they are diabetogenic, they're correlated with COVID, they're correlated with autoimmune diseases, they're correlated with everything. Although you're already here for a while, you probably heard of me talking about the advanced glycation end products. That is the most famous cooked food toxin and the most studied one. There's still 419 more. So, benzopiran, heterocyclic amines, hydrocarbon, polysaccharide aromatics, advanced lipid peroxidation products. You have acrylamines, acrylamides. It's so many names and so many toxicity approved in animals and even in humans. I don't understand why more health professionals don't talk about the maillard reaction end products. Because people love to cook their food. That's why. They are addicted to their eating habits. And nobody wants to question that these eating habits are reducing your lifespan and health span. That's for sure. These are the main benefits I could talk about raw food diets compared to cooked food diets. But for sure, you have to watch out because not every raw food diet is really healthy and not all cooked food diets can be really detrimental. For sure, we were born as raw fooders. I'm pretty sure we ate raw. The science suggests that we ate raw food for over millions of years. And for sure, maybe for the last 100,000, we have been eating some cooked food. 100 years or maybe even 1,000 years, we have been eating more cooked food. But still, cooking is not natural to us. And for sure, there's still lacking of science to prove that raw food is better than cooked food. But it's still, talking like Carl Sagan, the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. But still, we don't have data comparing cooked foods to raw foods to say that cooked food is better. Either sides, we haven't tested yet. But we know that animals live on raw foods and they have been living well. Human beings made pots and pans like 5,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. We didn't even have a stove a few thousand years ago. How would you cook your food? Our ancestors, when they start cooking something, they couldn't even cook rice, beans, and potatoes. There were no pots, no pans. So they were eating raw foods for sure. We were eating raw foods for millions of years. It's common sense for sure, and also scientific background to prove it. But we don't have proof yet that a raw food diet is better than a cooked food diet. But we also don't have proof yet that a cooked food diet is better than a raw food diet. So who to follow? Nature, animals, or modern human beings? That's the question, and it's up to you. I'm not suggesting that a raw food diet is better or healthier because we still lack the data. But we do have these bits and pieces. For example, people that eat more fruits and vegetables are healthier than people that don't eat it. People that eat more raw food is healthier than people don't eat it. For example, raw vegetables are more inversely correlated to cancer than cooked vegetables. That means raw vegetables protect you from cancer more than cooked vegetables, but still both protect you from cancer. So we have the data from the maillard reaction end products being carcinogenic and disease causing, but we never put it to the test because these trials, these research is pretty expensive. So we still don't have data. But you can try it out, see by yourself. Nature laws and nature's way or modern humans way. You can be your own, it's your health, it's your goals, it's your life. You have to, for sure, have health parameters, have like guidelines from medical researchers, from these World Health Organizations, from nutritionists, but still, you can question yourself and you can try for a few days, right? If I'm not suggesting you to do it, but I did it and I felt better. I'm not suggesting you should do it because any kind of changes, you need medical assistance. You need a professional assistance, but still questioning and searching for answers and for science is the first thing every one of us should do. So, do you agree with the concept? Do you want to learn more about a raw food diet? I highly suggest you to read The Eden's Diet, my main book on the subject that is it's like a Bible for raw foods. For sure, the main scientific book on the world on the subject. But I also have 3 other books published: The Hygienic Fasting, Natural Delicacies, and now available on Amazon, print on demand, and Kindle, also the Anti-Cancer Diet. My English copy is almost arriving from Amazon. The book just became available these last couple weeks. So I ask of you, have you ever tried a raw food diet? Please comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button for notification, comment, like, and share the video as much as you can because it's going to help you to receive more videos like this and our channel to grow and to help more people. And also, don't forget, I can help patients online with consultations or in private sessions. I also have 10 books published, 4 already translated to English and available on Amazon that you can receive at your home or read at a Kindle. And also, we have 6 online courses and retreats